Ezekiel Elliott is looking to bounce back after having the fewest amount of rushing yards and touchdowns of his career last season. Zeke told reporters yesterday that he has focused on his diet and trained to be more explosive this season to make up for only 2 carries of 20 or more yards last season. He has worked with a private running back coach for the first time and also has a private chef who he said has gotten him lean and feeling good. So Shannon, will we see a new and improved Zeke this season?
Skip, I will concede this. He does look good.
Thank you.
I said this earlier. He looks better than he did when he came out. He looks leaner. But Skip, I haven't seen a running back go down for 2 straight years, as far as yards, explosiveness, and then bounce back up. I haven't seen that. I'm not saying that he might be the first that, we see a dip in performance and then spring right back up. But that's not normally how it works with running backs. And so, for me, you look at his 2020 season, he was 25th in rushing touchdowns, 6th with a career low. Ranked 41st in yards for rush, a career worst, 4 yards a carry. And 11th in rushing yards, he failed to reach 1,000 yards. 1,000 yards should be commonplace. All you have to do is average like 65 yards per game. And that'll put you over 1,000, 65, 66 yards a game, and that'll put you over 1,000. And another reason, Skip, I believe Pollard will get more touches, and you don't pay Dak Prescott $42 million to turn around and hand the ball off 30 times a game. You take CeeDee Lamb in the first round, Skip, when you need a defensive guy for what? You want to give Dak more weapons. You want to throw the football. And this is not the same offensive line. I will concur, give you this. Tyron Smith is not, in terms of, age, normal people walking around, 32, 33 is not old. Zach Martin being 31, 32 is not old.
Nope.
But in football years, in the wars that they've been engaged in, and the toll, Skip, we see the toll that it's taken on him. Tyron Smith hadn't played a full season in a very long time. Lyle Collins missed all of 2020 with a torn labrum in his hip. Zach Martin, we see these injuries starting to happen a little bit more. He's missing games now, Skip. So I think with that combination, the offensive line not being what it once was, Dak Prescott going to be asked to throw more, Tony Pollard getting more yards. I don't know if we're going to see the first 3 years Zeke. You gave the numbers, 108, 98, 96, and then it went down since.
Shockingly down. Yeah.
I don't believe we'll see. Do I still believe he can be a good back? Sure. But that lead the league in rushing back, I don't see that Zeke.
So Shannon Sharp, going back 2 years on this show, I began to tell you, as a huge Cowboy fan, I'm sorry, I'm no longer seeing it from Zeke.
Right.
I told you my eye test is telling me something is really, really wrong here. And for a while, you fought back and said, no, he's still top 2 or 3 back. And then finally last year, you gave in and said, I can't see him anymore because I couldn't see him after he got his money.
Right.
Ahead of the 2019 season, he got his money, returned from Cabo, and it looked like the rest of the year he was still running in Cabo sand, right? And I kept telling you, I'm seeing a little double chin. I'm seeing a second chin under there, and I'm seeing a little bit of paunch going. Listen, Emmitt Smith always had a little paunch.
Yeah. But
you want to talk about quickness, and as North Turner used to tell me, in a confined space, he never lost any of his quickness. And Emmitt was just naturally, he didn't have an all-time great physique.
Right.
He was just an all-time great test back.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's just thank you, God. He had the gift. What I'm starting to love about the new Zeke is he's giving me some real hope because I see some true dramatic changes.
Right.
He went to the independent running backs coach, and they worked hard through the offseason on his quickness. And I'm just going off this camp video I see. I see a little bit more pep in his step than I saw the last 2 years. And Jane Slater reported he's down to 218. Well, I thought he played last year at 235, so that's a pretty...
He was close to 230.
Yeah, right?
And Zeke is not, it's not like he's Derrick Henry 6'3".
No. No, he's not. So, not only did he do that, but he's raving now about his new personal chef.
Right.
Well, as you know, that can really change your life.
Yeah.
If every meal you count on him, as you said, no more drive-throughs, right?
Correct.
If you avoid the drive-throughs and you let him set your menu
Your
for
training
each
table, yep.
each meal's already he's
Yep.
got it,
Yep.
and he'll cook you good food.
Right.
It'll taste pretty good.
Right.
Maybe it's not Big Macs, but
Right.
but it's still and you can still have maybe a Friday Big Mac if
Right.
you want one.
Yes, of course.
But there's a way to do this to
Right.
stay in that 220-ish range.
Correct.
And his body in the shot that we saw, it looked good. It looked different than I've ever seen him look.
I would agree.
So I'm starting to have some hope. And those numbers you already gave. He led the league in rushing the first year with 109 a game. 98 a game his second year. Still pretty great.
Yeah.
Then fell just slightly to 96 a game.
That's still great.
It's great enough because it led the league. All those three numbers led the league in yards per game rushing. Obviously, he missed some games when he got suspended, but still, yards per game, he led. Then he gets his bag. He got a big bag because he was a top-paid running back in football, and he drops all the way down from 96 to 85, and last year all the way down to 65. But worse still, he had the worst explosive production of any of the top 20-ish backs because in the last 2 years, he's had 7 rushes of 20-plus yards. Well, that's just not that guy.
Right.
That ain't Ohio State Zeke, right? He's had 0 of 40-plus over the last 2 years. Well, you got to give me one here or there, right? And I will never, ever forget, as long as I live, that Thursday night disaster at Chicago in 2019. Remember that? When he's waving out at, he has one good run, and he's waving to the sideline. I'm gassed. And I told you, our man Eric Dickerson, I think the greatest running back ever, he's not going to be gassed.
Oh, you want him.
Give
That's
me the
what you
rock.
want. Yeah, I just got him.
I got him on their heels. I got him huffing and puffing. I got him scared to tackle me.
Right.
Let me just sledgehammer these guys right here, right now. I'm taking it home. Give me the ball 3 more times.
The Derrick Henrys, the Dalvin Cooks.
That is correct. That's what they do because it's your genetics. It's what you're made of. Well, here's Zeke, and he just looked like a pathetic shell of himself last year. So I watched his full interview yesterday, his big media interview, and we saw a clip of it in the last topic that we did. And he looked different to me. He seemed happier. He seemed quicker mentally, like sharper, more focused, more in command. His brother is back. Dak is back. Dak wasn't there last year. And they were, obviously, if we go back to 2016, they were a dynamic rookie duo.
Yes.
And I do think they're very close. I think there's some serious, deep love there. And I think Zeke is back in more of a comfort zone now that Dak is back. So, again, to your point, do you ever see a running back just suddenly bounce all the way back to rookie year? This will be his 6th NFL season. Well, and chronologically, he's not too old, but these guys go fast. They age. It's like dog years that you age.
And the thing is, Skip, it's not so much the age, it's the wear and tear on the body. Zeke carried the ball a lot because, Skip, early on, they were a heavy run-oriented team. Now, they've kind of shifted over the last couple of years with Dak throwing the football. So the question is he going to get enough touches? I could assume that Pollard's going to get, 5, 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 touches
and he's
a game.
a little more lightning to the Thunder.
Correct.
So they utilized him quite a bit last year.
So
and his yards per carry dictated that they would suggest he should be used more.
Plus Zeke's fumbling the football.
He's been fumbling the football.
He liked to hold the ball. I guess he broke his wrist early in his career at Ohio State.
He did.
So now Emmitt Smith was a guy like that. Emmitt only carried the ball in one arm. It didn't matter what side of the field he's on. He would not shift it.
No.
And so if you see Zeke, he put both hands over it, but he still doesn't feel confident that if he's on the left side to put the ball in his left arm, so if something happens, it'll probably more likely go out of bounds. I want to see Zeke bounce back, but I just haven't seen running backs when they start to go down, Skip, they don't bounce back. They don't.
He is still a rare talent, though.
Yes.
And if anybody can bounce back, he can.
Yes.
And he seems like there's a sparkle in his eye that I liked. And I think he got sick and tired of hearing that he was done last year.
Well, if he bounced back, I might be in trouble.
You might be.
If he bounces back, I might be in trouble.
I
with my
agree
prediction.
with your premise. They are at heart, at their base, they're a throwing football team.
Yes.
Because they do have 3 really good receivers, although in that ESPN poll the other day, none of the 3 made the top 20.
Right.
So, but I do think CD will emerge as the number 1. Amari had good numbers last year, but I don't think he's the dynamic leader that CD could be if he'll just step up. But it comes back to what in the end, what works? running the ball and playing defense, it works.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to improve your defense considerably from last year, but you got to get back, you got to reestablish him where he is still a threat to a defensive coordinator.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I just don't know. I just don't know with those things. With Dak, get the money he got. I mean, Jerry Jones going to be very disappointed. You mean to tell me, hold on, I'm paying $42 million for him to hand the ball off 30 times? You know, Jerry like box office. Box office is throwing the ball up and down the field. That's what he loves so much about.
Well, I like winning.
I get it.
That's what I like.
I like winning. I know you do.
Mm-hmm. I like winning due from you.
I don't believe you're going to be able to get that this year.
Come on, Zeke.
44 cases, you said, is the goal?
44.
Okay.
To honor Tom Brady.
Okay, honor Tom Brady. Okay.
I'm going to remember that, mark it down.
Yeah.
Guys, speaking of winning, did Giannis officially win the argument with James Harden?
No.
We'll dive in next.
Yep.